A few weeks ago, as reported by Margarita Murillo, the Theosophical Society historical landmark in Altadena, California, was burned in the Eaton fire. And with it, the world's largest archive of theosophy. Murillo reports that thousands upon thousands of published papers, books, rare scriptures, unpublished letters, art objects, and preserved works by past theologians were burned. On the other end of the world, Bio Bio Chile reported on October 18th, 2021, that a group vandalized and looted the National Civil Registry office in Puente Alto, Chile, also setting a fire that was contained and extinguished by firefighters. Both examples are tragedies, and so many more exist. Natural disasters, vandalism, new governments, regime changes, and other things often shape what information gets preserved, and so a lot of information may be lost to the annals of time. So, what to do? Well, fret not, my friends. Information must be preserved in many ways, and one such way is the topic of today's video, digital archiving. Hi, my name is Emily Ringel, and I am a student in the University of Denver's Master's in Library Information Science program. To begin understanding digital archiving, let's begin with archival science. In her book, Placing Papers, the American Literary Archives Market, author Amy Chen states, archival science began when it split from the discipline of history in the early 20th century. In this early era, archivists trained as researchers before choosing to pursue alternative employment. Eventually, archivists began to organize. In 1936, they established the Society of American Archivists, or the SAA. By 1938, SAA began its journal of record, the American Archivist, which continues to publish both practical and theoretical research in the field semi-annually. We will revisit the Society of American Archivists later on. To be clear, over time, this preservation of information has also included photographs and recordings. Humans have always sought to record their history in some way, whether through oral tradition, stone or clay tablets, papyrus rolls, animal hides, printed pages, paintings, sculptures, or audiovisual recordings. Some of these important pieces of information the common person now has access to due to digitization. Chen goes on to further define digitization as digitization is the process of taking preservation quality photographs of papers and then loading these photographs into a platform that allows users to browse the collection off-site. That's how we know what the Statue of David looks like or have access to other works of art. So now that we have a little bit of history, let's consider what's going on in the world of digital archives. The biggest issue I found in my research is known as born digital content, which is defined as content created on digital devices by Amy Chen. Returning to Amy Chen, she states that born digital content created on digital devices, can pose an even more fundamental intellectual and financial challenge to processing than does digitization. Born digital files require decades-old principles to be reconsidered, such as when to preserve papers, how their integrity is maintained, how they are accessed by researchers, how they are organized, which processing method is used, and how they are preserved. As well as stating fully born digital collections are not yet common. Hybrid collections, those consisting of both physical and digital content, are more frequently seen, but hybrid collections are only a stopgap to fully born digital records. Now, Chen is referring primarily to literary works such as Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude or Stephen King's Carrie. Now, that said, I do think her concerns can be applied to other works, including podcasts, news reports, periodicals, really any source of information. News reports, I'm thinking of newspapers that existed that are now have digital formats as well, or fully digital newspapers. Chen continues, digital archives must determine when born digital content should be preserved. Before, records could be collected once creators finished using them. Now, a substantial portion of content will disappear if this practice continues. I'm not sure that people have considered this aspect of digital content. I think about rare book collectors or even with art collections, how many editions and reproductions there are, and how you can see the changes from one edition or reproduction to the next. If edits disappear in terms of born digital content, it may be difficult to retrieve them. I don't know if I agree that a substantial portion of content will disappear simply because the average user may not realize how much of their information, say, untagged Facebook pictures, are out there in the internet. It may just be more difficult to access. Now, another aspect of digital archiving that I had not previously considered is social media. I know I personally follow Stephen King on Blue Sky, and I know many authors use social media, such as Margaret Atwood. Additionally, for those of you who use social media, consider what sorts of posts you follow and what you post yourselves. Think of not just the written posts, but also the pictures, music videos, etc. If archiving has to do with it preserving information, not just written word, then social media presents a unique, exciting challenge for digital archivists. I do concede with Chen's point that social media could become a problem within the literary archives market because 21st century authors will have their internet use reflected in their content. I still think it would be something worth preserving and a new exciting challenge, as I said. Another consideration with digital archives is security. Historically, archives had to contend with threats to documents, be it from theft or damage. Bell and Donaldson report in their article entitled Security, Archivists, and Digital Collections in the Journal of Archival Organization. To maintain security of their collections, archives and libraries have developed regulations and procedures for handling theft and preventing damage during their use. That is why, if you ever watch any genealogy show, such as Who Do You Think You Are or Finding Your Roots, when there is a very old document, the person is given special gloves with which to handle the documents. Today, archivists must also consider the requirements for securing their digital collections. So consider all the news in recent years about different data breaches in the United States impacting banking information, health information, and others. You may have even received a notification in the mail discussing the possibility of a class action lawsuit in these breaches. Given how ubiquitous data breaches seem to be, security of digital collections is imperative. Bell and Donaldson further state that in addition to the analog items in their care, many archives and libraries have begun managing born digital collections, digital data, and digitized versions of their analog collections, raising new concerns about security. Bell and Donaldson continue by stating that the security of physical and digital collections and archives is the protection of physical and digital archival collections from threats such as theft, physical damage, environmental harm, unauthorized access, change, destruction, or other forms of misuse, through risk assessment, controlled access, and verification of information. So most of us know about passwords or passkeys along with multi-factor authentication. I am assuming, perhaps wrongly, that the world of digital archives would depend on an even stronger security given how we are being tasked with preserving the information. Something to ponder, I suppose. Now, as mentioned before, the Society of American Archivists is the main professional organization for archivists. The way the SAA is structured allows for many task force and working groups, which will focus on various issues within the world of archiving. If we look at the SAA's website, we will also find the opportunity for continuing education in a mentoring program. Here we can see the participating requirements of the mentoring program. Personally, in my current / soon to be previous career as a therapist, I think I learned most from the supervisors I had and other colleagues rather than books. So I think the support received from a mentor would be well worth the time commitment. All right. So now you know a little bit about digital archiving. How do you become a digital archivist? Well, the Society of American Archivists reports the educational path to becoming an archivist is varied. Most entry-level positions require an undergraduate and graduate degree together with archival coursework and a practicum. They mention most archivists receive graduate degrees in history or library science, with public administration and political science being useful specializations. Additionally, the SAA reports that particular knowledge of certain subjects may be important and that experience in conducting research is also helpful. I would say that would be step one in becoming a digital archivist. Continuing with the SAA website, they list a variety of courses, including basic archival theory, methods, and or practice of appraisal, arrangement, description, preservation, reference services, outreach, and legal concerns. They include a link to different programs in the US and Canada, with one program overseas in Slovenia. Additionally, the SAA offers an education program that offers a digital archive specialist certificate. So let's quickly review the courses through that website, which include the basics of managing digital records, introduction to email preservation, introduction to processing digital records and manuscripts, and web archiving fundamentals. Admittedly, digital archiving appears to be a niche field fraught with new challenges that may be daunting. So I guess I better improve my technology literacy and proficiency. But in all seriousness, given how important I think it is to preserve all information for posterity and contending with political instability and the impact of climate change the world over, digital archiving makes sense to me. As Amy Chen said, as digitization allows documents to be accessed by offsite researchers, the step is now considered an optimal component of 21st century processing. Thank you for joining me. Please check out the references I listed in the description below for further information.